go to some conferences and you're like, wow, the morning was great. And then in the afternoon, not this time. We're going to keep this going. And I'll talk a little bit about that after our morning keynote. Okay, Louis, thank you.
Good morning. As our president likes to say, good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Bronx Community College. I'll keep my remarks brief because as Albert indicated, we are running up against our agenda for the day. But really, I want to reiterate how happy I am to see you here today for two reasons. This is one of the events that from prior years we really appreciate because it allows us to commune. It allows us to be together. It allows us to share common experiences, common reflections, both personal and professional. It reminds us to sort of reconnect in a personal level and in a communal level, both to strengthen our bonds of common interest in the education of our students, but also to reconnect personally, because we all know that our personal connections really enrich our lives, and both as individuals, but also as professionals. And because I think it's always important to recognize that those that work with us, those that stay with us in the trenches day in and day out, are the ones that help us get through the day. And as you know, we're getting nearing the end of the semester. These are a little bit tough days to get through. There's a lot of things happening right now. And as you all know, getting through the next few weeks, I think is going to be really important. So the other thing that I also appreciate is the fact that we're focusing on technology, not technology per se, but our mission to serve our students and to serve our institutions. Technology has many facets, and one of the facets that I always find fascinating is that technology is a self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree. It helps us do things better, but it also helps us do things faster. And sometimes that rapidity of change gets ahead of us. So it's always important to always step back, look at it, see how it's working for us, and not doing things ahead of us, and always making sure that we use it for our purposes, not that it uses it for whatever purposes may be out there that others may take on. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for committing again, communally, to serve our students. And we have a great program today, and I'm sure all of you will be really happy for the experience today. I'd like to now welcome, and introduce our president, Thomas Sekenegbe, the greatest cheerleader for our students, and he will give us some welcoming remarks. Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Montenegro. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I feel much better. I'm so glad and so happy to see everybody here this morning. If you come to think about it, 10 years, I think I won't say anything. I think we need to give a round of applause for 10 years of doing this. And I hope the next 10 years will continue this and hope to improve on this. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's been involved in making this possible. I think we owe you a round of applause. Albert, I know you can sleep well tonight. So I want to say thank you. I would like to welcome my sister, my colleague, my friend, President of Hostos. I know you're going to make some remarks, so I want to say thank you so much for coming to support us this morning. I know President Fernando is not here, but I know somebody's going to speak on his behalf. Also welcome to the two presidents from Hostos and Lehman. But most importantly, I also want to welcome all of our colleagues and those presenting at this year's showcase. To all of you at home, we miss you, and I hope you're not still in your pajamas. I wish you could have joined us up here and meet everybody. So welcome, everybody. You know, what's really important that we're celebrating the first in-person, I think you said it earlier on, since 2019. Really, this reminds me of how important events like this are, because it gives us an opportunity to build a community in the practice of what we do. I don't know about you, the last 3 years, I totally, the campus was lonely, and I missed a true reminder of how important events like this are, not just to BCC, but to our community. It's always good to only reflect on how we can do things better, on how we can use educational technology to serve our mission and educate our students and to prepare them for the next step in their educational and professional development. If you look at the dictionary, you find the definition of the term technology as an application of knowledge to the practical aims of human life or to the changing and manipulating of the human environment. So, educational technology is a means to improve how we teach, how we learn, and how we learn as well. But the impact of technology really goes beyond this. It can allow us to learn new ways of teaching, new ways of learning that are not evident from what we've done in the past. Development in technology can also be disruptive. Think of the distractions of cell phones in your classrooms, or think about students in your classroom that are multitasking. They think they're listening to you, but they're also on their phone communicating with their friends. But the most important thing about technology is that it can serve as an accelerator of change, leading to a sense of dislocation or fear of missing out. Most recently, development of the chat GPT, and artificial intelligence tools promises to bring disruptive change in many areas of our modern world. There are myriad of conversations going on right now in higher education about AI tools with the positions of changing what we do and integration of instructions in the classrooms. One of the things I learned from COVID is that you got to use what you have to make progress. Remember, I don't know of other campuses. Prior to COVID, most of our instruction were done in person in our classes. But during COVID, thanks to our faculty and all of our staff, we made that change and adapted quickly to moving instruction from in-person to online. And I think we need to do more with technology today. Even as we come back to classes, as we come back to in-person instruction on our campuses, how do we build on what we've done during the COVID era to enhance what we do with our students in our classrooms? If we're meeting in person in classes, can we create those spaces in technology in our digital homes to make students learn? Our students expect our institutions to remain resilient and invest in the use of technology to meet their needs. We have to constantly imagine the way we do things and how we do it better. Reflecting this past year, having to learn things, do things differently, we must continue to create better ways to serve our students. Our students expect this, and they really demand of this from us. I hope we use this day to learn from one another on how we can really integrate and use technology in the interest of our students and our campuses. I hope you have a great day sharing and learning from one another. And I want to say thank you very much again for all of you coming. At this moment, I would like to introduce my friend and my colleague, President Daisy DeCoco Phillips from Hostos Community College. Madam President.
Here we are. So, Señor Presidente, que se neve. How wonderful to be with you. What a friend, what a journey we've taken this almost 3 years together. And what a gracious, gracious colleague. Wonderful colleague to me you were, even before I came back to the Bronx. He was reaching out to offer his support. He's just the best. And I know how much he is respected and beloved by his colleagues. So thank you. Muy buenos días. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here representing Hostos. Happy to be here being part of this wonderful celebration just for a little bit, because I will be going back to here at nursing accreditation visit exit interview. So I'm running for that. So if you see me running, it doesn't mean that my heart is not here or that I don't think that this is going to be a really fabulous day. I have run into so many of my Hostos colleagues, and my Lehman colleagues, and my Bronx colleagues as I came in this morning. So proud of the work, Carlos Guevara, and now we have with us our CIO, Dr. Graywall, and so many faculty, and everyone else, and of course Nelson Santana, who's here. I know Nelson since he was an intern at the Dominican Studies Institute. He loves it here. He's very happy, and I'm very happy that he's happy here. And we also have Elena from Lehman, Ilona, who went with us. Don't ask me to pronounce her last name, but she was just with us in Puerto Rico for a Middle States visiting team, and was terrific. So I have nothing but praise that I'm going to send her a beautiful letter soon. All right, so thank you. I want to say that when it comes to the past 3 years, the world of higher education has really changed in that there's a pandemic to deal with and all of the aftermath of that and the concerns that we have for one another and our students and our communities in terms of the challenges that isolation and illness and everything else brought with it. But there's also something else that we found out. Certainly for me, I love to give international conferences and poetry readings and things like that. And that, doing it by Zoom, open another world of opportunities. How technology and how our team, and I know all the teams at CUNY, stepped up to prepare the faculty and the students so that they could participate. But there's also now artificial intelligence. That's the next frontier that terrifies me just a little. Just a little. Some of the things you hear that are already happening, people faking voices of dear ones, making phone calls, and whatever else comes with that. And how do we, I mean, they're beginning to do studies. How do certain positions do better if they have a support from artificial intelligence? And how do we take this wild, wild, wild world that is before us with technology, understanding the good and the challenges that each brings. And so higher education, I don't think it will adapt, it will change simply because of all that life has given us. When I consider my granddaughters growing up, what a world that I never even thought about. And yet the same values as human beings need to be learned, and the love of books, and the love of learning. And how do you do all of that as you navigate all of these uncertainties? So that's hope. I have tremendous hope. I know that this, and I'm very sorry, and I apologize beforehand to all of the faculty and staff and participants throughout the day. Most particularly, I want to say thank you to the two keynoters, CUNY colleagues. I won't be here, but I know you will enjoy. And I know that I will hear a lot on campus about this exciting day. I'm so happy it has resumed after almost 3 years online. This is the first one, and it's 10 years. We love in the Bronx to invent, to create, to find solutions together. And I think in this regard, Bronx and Hostos and Lehman have done a lot of good work together. So say hello to President Delgado for us, and tell him what a gem he has in Elena over there. Okay? Tell him that. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, and dream of a better future, facing the challenges and the concerns and the worries that this new frontier opens for all of us. I wish you a beautiful day. Mil gracias y bendiciones. Talk about technology.
Good morning. How nice it is to be here after 3 years and to be here in person. So I bring greetings from President Delgado unfortunately and unexpectedly, he had a last-minute engagement and he couldn't be here with you. I know he's regretting it because he enjoyed last year when he was presenting and gave us so much insight. But I just want to give you a little bit from my end. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I have a microphone. First of all, thank you to the committee. It is a lot of work to pull this off, and you do it with joy. And it shows in the details. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work. We need to have another 10 more and keep going. It's been 10 years, and I want to say, I remember the first one I attended, it was at Lehman, and at the time, I worked here at Bronx Community College. And I was fascinated by the mission of this conference to improve teaching and learning and use technology. And I think that you will all agree that you have been doing so, that you have been looking for better ways to teach and learn, and that we see technology as a tool, not a replacement. At the end of the day, the classroom, whether it is physical classroom or a virtual classroom, is where the magic happens. And I have been very passionate about what goes on in the classroom because it is that interaction between the faculty and the student that makes the difference. And I have spent now 23 years supporting technology for higher education. And it has been my drive to support you, those of you that are in front of our students. And then I would just want to say one more word, go Bronx.
Okay, well, ChatGPT, don't let me down. Whew. Good morning. My name is Dermot Foley, the Associate Director of the Office of Online Education at Lehman College. And on behalf of the Planning Committee for the 10th Annual Bronx EdTech Showcase, welcome. Today, I have the honor of introducing one of our keynote speakers, Associate Vice Chancellor for Academic Strategy and Operations, Dr. Kim Siegenthaler. Dr. Siegenthaler's top priority at CUNY is the development of the online educational infrastructure that supports our 25 campuses in their efforts to sustain and expand their online course and program portfolios and facilitate the development of world-class online pedagogy and programs at CUNY. Prior to CUNY, Dr. Siegenthaler was the inaugural Associate Provost for Online Strategies at Georgia State University. She was responsible for developing and implementing a university-wide strategy for delivering high-quality online courses, certificate programs, degree programs, and executive education to traditional and adult learners. In 2021, she led the launch of Georgia State Online with over 80 online and hybrid program options from the associate to the doctoral level. She was responsible for administrative oversight and coordination of all aspects of digital education and had a major impact on both Georgia State University's online offerings and the support structure needed for enrollment growth and facility training. The Planning Committee is very grateful for both Dr. Siegenthaler's immediate acceptance of our invitation to participate today in various capacities and her one request, other than the helicopter, which was to meet and discuss the content of her keynote and other participatory roles so that she would be of the greatest interest to the attendees. And that is what occurred. Dr. Siegenthaler's enthusiasm, openness, and request to collaborate serves as a powerful reminder of what was, is, and always will be of paramount importance for the future of the City University of New York. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed colleague and keynote speaker, Associate Vice Chancellor for Academic Strategy and Operations, Dr. Kim Siegenthaler.
What a great welcome. And I just want to say how excited I am to be here for not only the 10th anniversary of this conference, but the first return to in-person. The math is bad, right? Is it 4 years, 3 years, whatever, it's been a while. And so But there are a variety of ways to demonstrate regular and substantive interaction. So this in and of itself does not provide a compelling reason for synchronous sessions or classes. You may remember that hybrid instruction was held up a few years ago as the gold standard for student learning. And while there was evidence to support this claim, hybrid classes lacked strong appeal, both for students and for instructors. And the same may prove to be true for online classes with a mix of asynchronous and synchronous components, regardless of what the research suggests is optimal. Spring 23 breakout by modality reveals that 59% of enrollments across CUNY were in-person classes. Asynchronous online and synchronous online accounted for 68% of remaining enrollments. Hybrid asynchronous and hybrid synchronous combined accounted for 10% of enrollments overall and 24% of enrollments other than in-person. CUNY-wide online classes that offered a mix of synchronous and asynchronous accounted for only 2% of the sections, which may indicate limited current interest or comfort among faculty in teaching in this particular format. This is the first semester we've coded classes this way, so we haven't yet looked at the data to see what student characteristics may align with particular modalities, or if there are any differences. Over time, as best practices are established for synchronous online instruction, and as students newer to online become more experienced in that environment, I think we'll start to see student preference for asynchronous, synchronous, or a mix break out by variables such as age, course level, subject, or whether the student is enrolled in a fully online or an on-ground program. Understanding why students choose a modality can help inform course design and enhance the student learning experience in each modality. And so while that's all very interesting, when we get caught up in debates about the superiority of one instructional modality over another, we miss the main point. If CUNY is to fulfill its educational mission, to provide equity in access and opportunity, not only for a first credential, but for continuing upskilling and reskilling, we must offer courses and programs in modalities and formats that meet learners where they are. Our students have complicated lives, and we're obligated to smooth the way toward completion of degrees rather than throw up additional and unnecessary barriers to their progress. So how big is the need? Does it matter that our adult learner enrollments have fallen by 17%? Across New York City's 5 boroughs, the number of working age adults who lack a 4-year degree is larger than that of many states. Data from the National Student Clearinghouse indicates that the number of students who stopped out without earning any credential now exceeds 40 million. Who is better positioned and equipped to respond to that need than CUNY? And what better way to increase accessibility to CUNY's degrees than through online? Delivering high-quality online education requires technology and lots of it. A learning management system is the single most powerful academic technology an institution can have. And while it's essential as a content repository, it provides far more than a container for course content. With our transition to D2L Brightspace over the next couple of years, instructors and students will benefit from the modern and easy-to-use navigation, advanced analytics for student learning, and features that support instructor-to-student and student-to-student interaction and opportunities for engagement. The gradebook feature is of particular value to students as it enables them to track how they're doing in the class. The LMS also provides data security and improves the institution's ability to comply with required data reporting such as student participation for financial aid eligibility verification. The LMS is not just for online and hybrid courses. Every class, regardless of modality, can use the LMS as a repository for class materials to increase student access, utilize the gradebook and the various tools to support teaching and learning across modalities. Its communication features support student and instructor interaction outside scheduled classroom hours. This is the governance plan for our transition from Blackboard to D2L. I know you can't read it. That's the point. A successful transition from Blackboard to Brightspace is complex and requires the involvement of lots of people across CUNY working together for a common goal. You can get the full picture of this on our transition website. A critical component of our transition process will be establishing governance to ensure consistency in best practices and to maximize the potential of the LMS for teaching and learning. And for data security and reporting, several committees, as shown here, will begin work this summer, and course content migration will begin in the fall for the campuses in the first transition group. Nearly everyone here will have the opportunity to participate in this work. We need your shared wisdom and expertise to ensure the best outcome. We've recently established the Office of Academic Technology in OAA with the hire of CUNY's inaugural Chief Academic Technology Officer, Vivek Upadhyay. In this role, Vivek will lead CUNY in the development and implementation of a more strategic approach to the selection and use of academic technologies to maximize effectiveness and economies of scale. With the addition of this office, OAA is committing to increased communication about and training in academic technologies across our campuses. The continuing proliferation and growing sophistication of technologies designed to support teaching and learning and student success is amazing and can be overwhelming when trying to determine their unique or collective usefulness. The price tag on these technologies is staggering. And there are multiple tools offering the same or similar features. Determining which provides the greatest benefit at the best price requires thorough analysis. The potential benefit technologies offer is immense when fully implemented. Potential benefit is enticing and has led many institutions to invest in expensive promises only to see a powerful technology little used because of a poor implementation plan, inadequate support, or understanding a mismatch with institutional need. So we have to look beyond the shiny potential of a technology to the actual benefit and the lift required to implement and sustain it. We also have to recognize that while many technologies increase access and equity, they can also increase inequity. Those that students have to pay for or that require reliable high-speed internet will be inaccessible to some students. And so when considering a new technology, we must ask who will be excluded if this technology is implemented. It's the role of the Office of Academic Technology to look at the various platforms and tools from all angles and help us make better informed decisions and understand what's needed to ensure widespread adoption. Can you imagine how different things would have been during COVID without video conferencing platforms like Zoom and Microsoft Teams? Without lecture capture and streaming technology like Kaltura and Echo 360. As essential as these technologies are, they barely scratch the surface of tools that can enhance student learning across modalities. One tool I really like is Anthology Ally, which automatically makes course content accessible to students with disability and is beneficial to all students. Ally is now available for all courses in Blackboard across CUNY, and it will be available CUNY-wide in Brightspace. It can enhance teaching and learning by creating accessible digital content for more inclusive learning environments, by automatically checking for accessibility issues and generating alternative formats, and improving usability and readability of learning materials to meet all students' needs and learning preferences. These features enable students to choose how to engage with the course's digital content, such as adjusting the text, the font, and background for easier reading, adjusting the playback speed on recorded lectures and features for reading, highlighting, bookmarking, and note-taking. Another great tool is the 3D virtual microscope developed by Oregon State University. It's now available as an open education resource. It gives students the foundational experience of being in a lab where they can maneuver a microscope settings and adjust the images just as they would in a physical lab environment. Due to the students' unlimited access to the virtual microscope and reduced anxiety about breaking an expensive piece of equipment, learning outcomes were actually better for those using the virtual microscope than for those in the physical lab. Some technology like ChatGPT sparked strong reactions. I just returned from the Digital Universities Conference where ChatGPT was a topic of several sessions as folks debated the potential of generative AI for both good and bad in education. Everyone agrees it will influence how we teach and learn, but the question is how? And how do we use it to enhance teaching and learning, as it's not going away, and we're going to have limited control over the tool, over the technology. I know the same conversations are happening across our campuses. The article, Getting a Grip on ChatGPT, that was in yesterday's Inside Higher Ed, is a thought-provoking, and it's well worth a read for those of you who are engaging in these conversations. Instructional quality is our third pillar. Without it, the accessibility afforded by modality and technology loses its value. Student-instructor interaction is well documented as a hallmark of effective teaching. In in-person classes, we take for granted that these interactions are occurring. Online classes should contain the same or similar types of instruction, of instructor-initiated interactions. In fact, the U.S. Department of Education requires that all online courses for which students may receive financial aid, federal financial aid, involve regular and substantive interaction between students and instructors. Establishing and maintaining instructor presence in the online class requires intentionality. Without evident presence, instructor presence, instructor student-to-student engagement, students in online classes can feel isolated in their learning experience. Some have predicted that online education would diminish the role of the instructor. I believe the reverse is true. Students who are enrolled in on-ground programs have access to many opportunities to develop a sense of belonging and community with their campus. The occasional poorly taught in-person class is offset by the additional connections that students have with the campus. For fully online classes, the instructor is often the primary connection, and students' learning experience in the online class is a key factor in whether they continue at the institution. When students have rich, meaningful, and engaging learning experiences in their online classes, they're more likely to continue in the program. So what do we mean by regular and substantive interaction, and why is it required? The U.S. Department of Education mandates regular and substantive interaction to ensure that online classes are not plug and play or set and forget. That students in our online classes receive equitable quality of instruction. Regular interaction means frequent and consistent. It means being present, setting sequence and pace of the class, providing regular and timely feedback, keeping students informed about what's coming next, how to prepare. It is intentionally doing in the online class what most instructors do automatically in their face-to-face classes. Being present means showing up online like showing up for an in-person class. While delivering a synchronous lecture is one way of being present, there are many other ways to do so. Substantive interaction requires the instructor to initiate interaction and engage students in teaching, learning, and assessment. The instructor is active in guiding students' learning. There are many ways, again, that this can be done in an online class. And you see a few examples here. You'll notice that these activities are very similar to what constitutes quality instruction in an in-person class. They're just done differently. Instructional quality is, yeah, that's where we are. Okay. Instructional quality is vital, but not all that's needed to enable online students to succeed. Adult online students have often stopped out for several years before returning to school. This time lapse, combined with complicated lives, make virtual support services essential to their re-entry and success. Proactive academic or success coaching that nudges students to meet with their advisor with financial aid to register for the next semester helps them stay on track. Some services, such as academic coaching, are most helpful when students are transferring, when they're first enrolling, when they're transferring from one institution to another, when they're moving from the community college to the senior college. Other supports are needed throughout the student's journey, although perhaps intermittently. Students also need, our online students also need additional assistance in navigating institutional bureaucracy. How do they get from point A to point B in the most streamlined manner? What do we need to change in our processes for admission, for registration, for financial aid to ease the way for all of our students? To ensure that CUNY's online students have access to the support services they need, we're assessing campuses' capabilities and capacities to determine where additional resources are needed. Tutoring, financial aid, academic advising and coaching, peer mentoring, and enrollment coaching are the highest priority. We've talked about the intersection of modality, technology, and instruction in the higher ed environment. I want to shift our attention now to the structure of our credentials. Associate, bachelor's, and graduate degrees are our staple, the foundation of higher ed. And the bachelor's degree remains the gold standard in American post-secondary education and training. But now more than ever, people need greater flexibility in their education pathways to enable faster upskilling and reskilling to remain competitive and advance in their careers. Stackable credentials, defined by the U.S. Department of Labor as those that are part of a sequence of credentials that can be accumulated over time and move an individual along a career pathway or up a career ladder, can provide this flexibility. Stackable, alternative, micro, or nano, the concept is the same. Shorter-term credentials that make it easier for students to on-ramp and off-ramp as needed and to progress toward their educational goals. The concept of stackable credentials isn't new. They've existed in some format since at least 1994. but have garnered widespread attention only in the last 7 to 8 years. Changes in the labor market, combined with decreased confidence in the value of a college degree, have contributed to efforts at many institutions to build or expand a portfolio of stackable credentials. So far, community colleges have been the leaders in building stackable credentials, but there's growing commitment in developing these credential pathways, even at R1s, such as CU Boulder, the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee, and at Oregon State. The pandemic accelerated recognition of alternative credentials from employers and increased market demand for these shorter-term credentials. A recent survey conducted by the Strata Education Network found that 60% of Americans now prefer shorter-term credentials to full degree programs. Cost and time to completion are primary considerations. The greater flexibility and lower cost of shorter term or incremental credentials that can be stacked into larger degree pathways are particularly valuable to those learners who have traditionally been left behind due to socioeconomic reasons. Learners can stop out when life gets too full or complicated, and then when time allows, pick up where they left off by adding further credentials to a stack that moves them in a career direction or ultimately a degree. Additionally, stackable credentials allow learners to pivot along their pathways to meet their evolving career goals and the ever-changing workforce demands. The point is that stackable credentials pave the way forward through as many educational on and off ramps as the learner needs. The destination can be a micro-credential, a master's degree, or anywhere in between. A comprehensive market and gap analysis of CUNY's programs indicated that we already have many of the pieces, both credit-bearing and non-credit, needed to create credential pathways. What we lack is a holistic and cohesive strategy to connect the various credentials across campuses, replete with on and off ramps that provide students with clear pathways to progress educationally and professionally in specific fields. We lack a strategy for developing additional micro-credentials that are designed to stack, for non-credit credentials designed to articulate to credit for students who want to take that next step. It's relatively easy to develop micro-credentials that align with specific workforce needs. The harder work lies in pulling these and traditional degrees into pathways that help students see career options and map their paths for a chosen career. Snazzy, huh? I didn't build it. This is an example of what a credential pathway might look like in healthcare. Note the different types of credentials that can build toward a particular career. Also note the alternative pathways that enable students to shift from a clinical career path to a non-clinical one. This is critically important in highly competitive disciplines such as nursing and physical therapy, where a high percentage of students who apply to a program are not admitted. CUNY's scale and diversity of program offerings, plus our many industry connections, enable us to develop unparalleled breadth and depth and credential pathways that open more opportunities for learners to gain the education needed for their careers. My office and the Office of Career and Industry Partnerships are developing a strategy to create a CUNY-wide model to build pathways for a number of disciplines, including healthcare, business, education, and technology. Campus academic leadership and offices of adult and continuing education are informing the strategy and identifying existing credentials that could be stacked. And we plan to pilot, or at least identify a few pilot programs by fall. So CUNY Online. The CUNY Online website launched in March and now promotes over 170 fully online degrees. Digital marketing campaigns have also launched to increase awareness of and enrollment in online programs across CUNY campuses. So I've been asked a number of times if CUNY Online will offer degree programs or hire faculty. The answer is no. That is the work of the campuses. CUNY Online is a marketing brand, as demonstrated here, and an administrative structure designed to support campuses in their expansion of online program offerings. Over 20 campuses are currently planning or actively working to develop more than 30 online programs over the next year. Some of these will be collaborative programs involving multiple campuses and designed to address market needs in innovative ways. This is indeed an exciting time to be at CUNY. We have so many opportunities to work together to meet the educational needs of New York and beyond, and I look forward to partnering with you in this work. Thank you for your time. And did we have time for questions, or are we running late? Okay. So are there questions?
Any questions? No questions?
Why couldn't you have not advanced to have a degree online, like many other colleges have advanced?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
Hang on. It was somebody over here, right? Okay. What's the next?
Hi, I'm a former alumni, but my question is why CUNY is not provide degree online like all the institutions have provide, and why couldn't you still like in this hybrid mode, but it's not fully degree online or fully online?
So that's been a choice of the individual campuses in terms of modality. And so if you look across CUNY, you'll see some that have been more innovative, quicker to move into the online space. SBS is certainly one of those. Lehman, BMCC, John Jay have been some campus leaders in terms of their online programs. Others have just chosen to this date not to move in that direction. But that's, the work of my work is to help the campuses understand the opportunities, to provide resources so that they can move in that direction. But again, that's a campus decision.
Hi, I'm from School of Public Health. I'm just wondering how we can identify our interest in being part of the pilot program for micro-credentials.
Send me an email. Yeah, that's one of the things that we're beginning to look at is what do we have? And so just like it took me about 8 months to identify the existing online programs across the campuses, it's going to take a while to identify some of these credentials that could be stackable. So where you can provide information to me about what we already have, that helps us get jump started. And where you indicate interest in helping to build or contribute to those pathways, that's also very, very helpful at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Elena Zadko, Director of Online Education at Lehman. Just wanted to thank you for this terrific and very informative presentation and helping CUNY move forward. I have a question. How can we support faculty? You've talked about change at the beginning of your presentation, and we know change is hard, right? And with lots of resources, with lots of support, how can we help, CUNY and the rest of the colleges get on board with moving forward, being innovative and creative when the change could be so difficult? Thank you.
If I had the answer to that question. No, it's a great question, and it's a never-ending effort, right? Because technology keeps changing. We keep learning things. And so we are in the education business, so we should all continue to learn. But a lot of it's about providing the right resources at the right time. I know at previous institutions, it was not unusual for a faculty member to go to a conference. They would see a presentation that talked about perhaps a technology or a teaching strategy, or, and they would come back to the campus and they would go, will you do a workshop on this? Will you buy this? And so oftentimes that puts you in sort of a reactive mode in terms of the resources that you're providing to faculty. And where I think there's benefit for us is if we can move into more of a proactive role in identifying what are the things that faculty really need to understand about teaching online. And I know a number of the campuses have developed programs, training programs related to teaching online, and that's fantastic. But we need to be better at pooling our resources, at working collaboratively across our campuses so that we can pull out the best of the best and make it available to everyone and not require every campus to replicate the work individually, because we don't have those resources. Not every campus has the capacity to do that. And so working together, I think we can achieve a lot more and advance faculty development in that respect.
Any more questions?
Is there any plan to expand the micro-credentials program to PhD as well? I think that that's something that could probably help with the lack of minorities and that have PhDs.
Where there is market need and where there is campus interest, yeah. We're not setting any boundaries around that. We're exploring that. There are, where we'll start is with sort of a low-hanging fruit. Where are the most obvious needs? Where do we have the most pieces that it's easiest to put those together and get them out there? And then we'll continue to expand both in terms of disciplines and in levels. So again, if there's interest, shoot me an email.
One last one.
Hi, Victor Dominguez, Classroom Technology Support Services at Lehman. You mentioned that the cost of implementing technology to facilitate the accessibility and the abilities for faculty to teach and to use the tools that we have available. What is the university's plan to provide the support, the financial support to accomplish this task? As you mentioned, it is very expensive. Is there a plan in the future to assist the campus?
It's a great question, and I don't have an answer yet. So we just stood up the Office of Academic Technology, right? Let's see, Vivek is now in his fourth week, I think. So still figuring that out. We're working very closely with CIS to align that work and to determine how we can best support the campuses. And, is CUNY Central going to be able to pay 100% of the cost for all of the technologies? I think that's highly unlikely. That campuses will need to contribute to that, but what that looks like and how that's structured going forward, I think is still to be determined.
Guys up in the booth, can you bring up the housekeeping slide? And can we give him a round of applause?
Thank you. It's been a great conversation.
Did they hear me? Can we bring up the housekeeping slide? All right. Was that great or what? What I promised you. It ain't over. The afternoon is going to get even better. So please, after you eat lunch, don't find a nice place on the campus to fall asleep, because the food is going to be great as well. So a couple of quick things I just want to go over. You probably already saw it, but on back of your badge is a QR code for the full program. Every time I was walking around greeting people, they were saying, why isn't my name showing up in the program? And I said, because of budget cuts, we put the program in the QR code and it has your name there. So when you scan it, there's your name, you're good to go. The Wi-Fi password information is also on back of the code, on back of your badge, if you didn't see that. And this is just to go over quickly what's gonna happen next. Sessions 1, 2, 3 will be, of course, in the North Hall and Library. And then lunch will be in Colston Hall, lower level, or you may hear some people say that it's called Community Hall. So if you hear those two things, don't get confused, it's the same place. And then back here for the panel and for the afternoon keynote. And then we'll have an afternoon social back in 136 in the New Library, which will have some other interesting food to eat as well. Because it's our 10th anniversary, we want to try to, treat you guys for coming around for 10 years, if you are a 10-year person. But before we move quickly, and we're going to have to do that, we may run a little bit behind, we have to give thanks to not just the committee members. If you guys can stand up, the committee members, I don't know where they are, but please rise if you're here. I don't know if all of them are here. We're not the only ones that stay up all night. I got 3 hours of sleep last night because of all of the stuff that we had to do, and I'm sure everybody else did. All of those guys that you see, some of them are in blue t-shirts that says the Bronx EdTech 10th anniversary on them. That's the support team from all 3 campuses, and these guys are phenomenal. Believe it or not, some of them have been here since the first one 10 years ago. Some of them have moved on, and we have some new people. But we also want to give them a round of applause, because without them, we couldn't make this happen. All right? So now we're ready to move on to the sessions. So you guys have kind of 2 sessions in a row. Hopefully you'll find some great stuff and learn some things there and share some new things with colleagues that you may meet. And then when the next time we see each other, of course, we'll be at lunch, but I'll be floating around, the committee members will be floating around, and all of the staff that's around. But in the afternoon, when we get ready to go back for the panel and the keynote, you'll come back in here, and then you get to sit for a while, let your lunch settle before we walk back over to the new library for the social. So thanks again for coming, and we'll see you guys around for the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.